responding. As far as I saw my records, we covered what text? Anyone? Text
3.
Text 3 we're on now, huh?
Yes.
Okay, so let's offer some prayers to Srila Prabhupada first. Namo Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Bhakti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachalini Nivasisha Sunyavari Vashkitara Satarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so let's begin. Let me stop looking at the still trying to figure out the audio, but you can hear me and I can hear you, but it's not coming through my new speaker. It's just coming directly from the iPods here. But anyway, you can hear me. That's the main thing. So then, so we're joining the ongoing drama of Arjuna and his doubts and his apprehensions about following Krishna's path, following Krishna's order, or doing his duty. So we're hearing about that in detail. And so on text 3, so great, a few devotees have their hand up. So Mother Sahachari, you can perhaps read the first text here, text 3. Okay. We're having a go at reading the Sanskrit, because it's relatively more simple than, say, Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So you can try it if you want.
Okay, thank you. Kailabhyam asma gama partha naitatya upapadyate shudram hridaya daurbalyam tyakto tishta parantapa. O son of Partha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Purport. Arjuna was addressed as the son of Prtha, who happened to be the sister of Krishna's father, Vasudeva. Therefore, Arjuna had a blood relationship with Krishna. If the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in name only. And if the son of a Brahmana acts impiously, he is a Brahmana in name only. Such Kshatriya and Brahmanas are unworthy sons of their fathers. Therefore, Krishna did not want Arjuna to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Arjuna was the most intimate friend of Krishna, and Krishna was directly guiding him on the chariot. But in spite of all these credits, if Arjuna abandoned the battle, he would be committing an infamous act. Therefore, Krishna said that such an attitude in Arjuna did not fit his personality. Arjuna might argue that he would give up the battle on the grounds of his magnanimous attitude for the most respectable Bhisma and his relatives. But Krishna considered that sort of magnanimity mere weakness of heart. Such false magnanimity was not approved by any authority. Therefore, such magnanimity or so-called non-violence should be given up by the persons like Arjuna under the direct guidance of Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Any particular comments or questions on this? It mentions in the commentary that Krishna is slapping Arjuna here. Slapping him in a metaphorical sense. He's calling him because he's a Kshatriya. So Kshatriyas are quite proud. Could we use the word used here is, I'm reading Burijan's commentary, viral. But he's being accused of being impotent, having no potency. So he's quite a slap in the face for Arjuna. Yeah, being weak-hearted. Yeah, go on.
So if we are trying to be sincere devotees and following the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, if we try to avoid some duty by some mental speculations,
if we try to avoid, I missed that.
Like Arjuna, try to avoid certain duties by mental
Okay,
speculations. Will Krishna come and give us the same slap and bring us to our senses, or can we assume that if we are sincere and we come up with this, a mental concoction about what our duty might be or what it's better to do or this or that, will Krishna send a messenger to help us like he's doing here? I mean, he's helping Arjuna directly see the full error of his thinking. So can we expect the same reciprocation from Krishna?
Very good point. Very good question. Basically, Krishna is 100 times more determined for us to go back to Godhead, or he wants us to go back more than what we want to go. So Krishna is always trying 24 hours a day to give us correct guidance and direction. Even if somehow, and say even if we're so much caught out in the modes of material nature and in the material energy, that we may go astray, or we may come to wrong conclusions which are doing us harm, then Krishna will communicate somehow through someone. Krishna's message, hopefully, Krishna will give us the message for us to hear and to put us on the right path. But of course, if we're stubbornly determined to embrace Maya, then despite Krishna's Krishna's messages that he sends through maybe other devotees, something we read or something we hear, if we're so determined, then we're going to have to learn the hard way, the school of hard knocks. Krishna's going to have to hand us over in one sense to the material energy. My point I'm making is that Krishna is always trying to act for our well-being and act for our benefit. So to answer your question, Lavangalataka, yes, Krishna is saying good. That's why I said Krishna is very good, because it very much brings to home how Krishna is on the situation with Arjuna, and Krishna is very much the situation with us. Krishna is always trying to give us good guidance. Now, how do we recognize that good guidance? Then that's another subject, to actually be able to recognize Krishna's direction. Yeah, that's why I said if someone is really determined to embrace the materiality, then despite what Krishna may say or messages he may send, and we won't listen. And that's why we're here in the first place. Yeah. I think don't know if I told this story before, but one time I was on book distribution. This was many years ago. And I was distributing books in, I remember the town, in Basingstoke. And I was I had this immature determination that I would completely absorb myself in book distribution, and I wouldn't stop to take prasadam. It is connected to this story, I'll explain. I wouldn't stop to take prasadam, but at the same time, I was experiencing hunger, and I was feeling weak. And I refused to acknowledge that. No, not going to stop. I'm going to distribute books. Let me forget this eating. So then, opposite me, because quite a wide shopping precinct, but about 50 yards away, there's one kind of old lady, very old lady. She came, and she was feeding the pigeons. She was feeding the pigeons. And matter-of-factly, she kind of stopped in her tracks and she saw me. She came marching towards me. And she said, "Everyone has to eat." So I took that as a message from Krishna that I should take prasadam. So I stopped and I took prasadam. I had prasadam there with me, but I was being stubborn. So anyway, that's kind of one example. So Krishna is always trying to direct us, being our conscious through our conscience or through devotees. So we should be ready for that. We should be ready to hear Krishna's direction for us. And also we had to recognize it. And any further comments on that, let's go.
No, thank you. That's great.
Yeah, so in essence, Krishna is always trying to help us. But we should be ready to hear that direction. And it may not due to circumstances, it may not come directly from the Diksha Guru. It may come from someone washing the pots in a temple. Or it may come from, as I said, from an old lady feeding pigeons. Understand? Krishna's will make it known. It will give us an opportunity to recognize. But that's why if we're regularly reading and studying Srila Prabhupada's books, we will spontaneously go towards the Krishna conscious thing to do, because our intelligence will be purified. If we're kind of downloading, if we could say the word, if we're downloading lots of Krishna consciousness into our mind, for instance, reading Bhagavad Gita, then we're going to spontaneously choose the Krishna conscious thing to do or say. But the less we're hearing and chanting, then the more is going to come from a manifestation of the modes of the modes of nature. Another point, yeah. And I just read here from Burijan. I mentioned that here. Krishna here is slapping Arjuna. Krishna is also reminding Arjuna of his great heritage. That's why he calls him, O son of Prtha. So that's kind of calling Arjuna to act as a Kshatriya. Yeah. O son of Prtha. Yeah. So Prtha is, anyone know who Prtha is? O son of Prtha?
It's Arjun?
Arjuna is the son of who?
Prtha.
Prtha.
Indra.
Prtha is Kunti's name, isn't
Indra
it?
and Kunti.
Indra.
Hmm.
So Indra, so he's reminding here, Krishna is reminding Arjuna of his great heritage as the son of Indra. And Indra, amongst other things, he is known as a great warrior of the heavenly planets. So in other words, Krishna wants him to remember his high birth and to do credit to his high birth. And that's why Prabhupada here, what's said here, then Prabhupada emphasizes here Krishna Bandhu. And he mentions in the purple. Yeah. Yeah, he mentioned. If the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he's a Kshatriya in a name only. And if the son of a Brahmana acts impiously, he's a Brahmin in name only. So this is what's happening with Arjuna now. He's just they said, you heard the word Brahma Bandhu? We have the word, that's the word we're more familiar with, Brahmana Bandhu. But here Prabhupada is emphasizing a Kshatriya Bandhu. I guess it could go to a Sudra Bandhu, what is a Yavana Malecha, but here, a so-called Kshatriya in name only. So this is Krishna's one of his first speaking to Arjuna, giving him a slap. All right. Anything else on this? Because Kasudram here that's used means low class and petty. So Arjuna's been speaking such emotional, high-fluting words, of Dharma, etc. But Krishna just sums it up, goes low class. You're speaking like a low-class man. You're speaking like an impotent person. You're speaking out the weakness, and petty. So sometimes the guru has to speak like this, to wake the disciple up. That's to speak in quite direct terms. Yeah. Anyone can think of example in I think it's in the first canto, I think it is, where one person acting as a guide, as the guru, speaks very, very harshly in one sense, very harshly to his student or his dependent. I'll give you, this is a Srimad Bhagavatam test for you. Test your Srimad Bhagavatam stories. Let me know if you want the clue. No, you don't want the clue? Okay, Bhagavad Kishore's nodding. Clue. So, and one clue is, I might give too much, but he was living like a household dog.
Yes,
That's what he was
Vidura.
told. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Vidura preaching to his
Spoke
brother, Dhrtarastra.
Dhrtarastra,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're living like a household dog in the family of those who killed all your sons and destroyed them. And he went further. You'll see your liver is not good. You can hardly speak properly. You're reaching old age. So he spoke quite directly to actually wake him up. So Krishna's using the same tactic here. All right. So unless there's any more questions on this, let's read text 4. And Madhu Kishore, you'd like to read text 4.
Arjuna uvacha katham Bhisma aham sankhye dronam cha madhusudana ishubeha pratiyotsyami pujarha varisudana. Translation. Arjun said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in the battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are unworthy of my worship? Purport. Respectable superiors like Bhishma, the grandfather, and Dronacharya, the teacher, are always worshipable. Even if they attack, they should not be counterattacked. In general, etiquette that superiors are not to be offered even a verbal fight. Even if they are sometimes harsh in behavior, they should not be harshly treated. Then how is it possible for Arjuna to counterattack them? Would Krishna ever attack his own grandfather, Ugrasen, or his teacher, Sandipani Muni? These were some of the arguments offered by Arjuna to Krishna.
Okay, thank you. So, so Arjuna here, he's trying to let Krishna know that the reason he's not fighting isn't because of weak-heartedness, as he just said, but it's because now but because of etiquette. Yeah. So Krishna just accused him of being weak-hearted and petty. But but Arjuna here, actually, Krishna, you're wrong. It's not. I mean, that's not the reason. The reason I'm not fighting because it's not correct etiquette. Yeah. He's saying it's not due to just reading here from Purujan's commentary. Also, it includes the chariots. It's not weak-heartedness. Yeah. But interesting point is brought up here about culture as well. I mean, this should be this is something for us to understand and learn as well. I don't think in this particular situation it's being used wrongly by Arjuna. But the point is there that respectable superiors, they're always to be worshipable. Yeah, here, this is the point. It is a general etiquette that superiors are not to be offered even a verbal fight, even if they are sometimes harsh in behavior. They should not be harshly treated. No. Sometimes brahmanas, although there's some old although brahmanas are generally, one of their qualities is that they're peaceful. But sometimes Brahmanas become angry. And it describes that in the Mahabharata. Look out when Brahmanas become angry. So what to do when a Brahmana becomes angry with you? You should approach him with smiling, you should approach him with a smile and folded hands, and pacify him. You should fall down at his feet and kind of with folded hands. You shouldn't offer a verbal fight back, according to in the traditional cultural actually it's said when a Brahmana becomes angry, then it's more devastating than a conflagration, than fire in the kingdom, if a Brahmana actually becomes angry. Now I'll ask another question here. Testa Srimad Bhagavatam. Someone could cite give an account of when a Brahmana become angry and had devastating effects.
That was King
These are
Vane.
on mute. King Vena, yeah, that's
King
one.
Vane. Yeah, the Brahmanas killed him then.
Wicked King Vena. He was an atheist, actually.
Yes.
He was an atheist, and so he was leading the society on religious principles. So the Brahmanas would become very concerned. I don't know if they was actually not angry as such, but they were very concerned. Obviously disappointed with him, so they killed him by mantra. Yeah, but I was thinking of another example where a whole dynasty was destroyed. Because, okay, I'll give you a clue. Because some young boys were deriding or joking with Brahmanas. You don't know this?
Prabhu, that's the Yadu dynasty, isn't it? Yadu dynasty.
Sorry?
Yadu.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. You could tell the story, Mother? The basic story?
I all I remember is that I think they were playing a prank, and they dressed one of their friends as a pregnant lady, and then they went to the Brahmanas to say, "Can you bless her so that can you tell us what the gender of the child would be?" And then I think the Brahmanas then cursed them, saying that all your dynasty will be destroyed.
That is Krishna's son, Samba.
Yeah.
Shamba. Yeah,
Yeah,
Shamba.
that's right.
He had a
Yeah,
Christian or
that's right.
something.
Yeah.
And the Brahmanas said, actually, this will give birth to what was it? A lead.
A lump, wasn't it? Lump
lump.
of iron or something. Yeah.
Yeah, which will be the cause of the destruction of Krishna's that's a whole other story, but the whole family, the Yadu dynasty, would fight with each other. And as we know, the story goes is that when Maharaj Augustina heard this, he was very much concerned, and they all decided what to do. No problem, let's just grind this lump of metal into dust and throw it in the sea. So they did that, they threw it in the sea, and the dust went, and it grew into steel sticks, which they eventually all destroyed themselves with. But anyway, there's an example there of we should be very careful when dealing with Brahmanas.
And Prabhu, would you call would Shringi be would you quote him as being a Brahmana? Shringi?
Shringi, yeah, that's another example. Yeah, again, it's the example of a Brahmana who becomes angry.
Durvasa Muni, he becomes angry quite often. Durvasa Muni.
Yeah, Durvasa Muni becomes angry, and interestingly, he's a Brahmana.
Yes.
Actually, there's a book my Guru Maharaj writes about that. It's a small book. It's worth reading. And Krishna very much chastises him. You're so-called Brahmana, you're always losing your temper. What type of Brahmana are you? Mm-hmm. Of course, he was a Gani at one time, but then he became a Bhakta after his dealings with Maharaj Ambarish. He became a Bhakta. But yeah, Durvasa Muni. Nice, something we should remember here. General etiquette, the superior is not offered even a verbal fight. Even if they're sometimes harsh in behavior, they should not be harshly treated. Okay. More deeper culture is being spoken of here. Let me just see if there's anything more here. Yeah, interesting the use of, because Krishna has many names. Also, Arjuna can be called many names. And you see this often, that the particular name that Krishna is addressed by has a message in there. Right? Sometimes the gopis, they call Krishna by different names, or Radharani is called by different names. And there's a reason why they're being called that, because there's a message in a particular context of conversation. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur here mentions that the reason that Krishna, that Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Madhusudana, is it here? Yeah, Madhu. No, because he mentions that Krishna as Madhusudana and Arishudama. So Arjuna is calling attention to the fact that Krishna is the killer of his enemies, not his guru. Krishna is asking Arjuna to kill his guru. So Arjuna is a bit subtle. He's oh, but you're Madhusudana, and you kill your enemies. Did you kill Sandipani Muni? Would you kill Sandipani Muni? So you see, Arjuna is making this strong point to Krishna. Yeah, let me just read it here. Not his guru and the grandfather. Arjuna would prefer to offer flowers. That's why here, yeah, this word here, where's the word? We should be offering them puja. We shouldn't be trying to kill them. We should be offering them incense and flowers. You're asking us to kill our superiors. Yeah. Arjuna would prefer to offer flowers at the feet of Drona and Bhisma, not arrows. But how would Arjuna maintain himself if he were to give up his duty as a warrior and not fight? So that's going to be spoken of in the next verse. How would he maintain himself if he was to give up his duty, his position, Vana and Ashra, his Vana? All right. Any other points on this that we can bring up? Yeah, actually, it's here in the purple. Prabhupada is obviously quoting from Vishwanath here. Would Krishna ever attack his own grandfather, Ugrasena, or his teacher, Sandipani Muni? Yeah. No. Well, some circumstances might manifest where that is, but generally not. All right. Okay, Mother Lamangalati, would you like to read text 5?
Yeah, text 5. Grun ahatvahima maha bhavan shreyo bhaktam bhakshyama piha loke Prtha kamams tu garuni haiva punjiya bogan rudira pradigan. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Yeah. According to scriptural codes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action has lost his sense of discrimination and is fit to be abandoned. Bhisma and Drona were obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because of his financial assistance, although they should have not accepted such a position simply on financial considerations. Under the circumstances, they have lost the respectability of teachers. But Arjuna thinks that nevertheless, they remain his superiors, and therefore to enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with blood.
Yeah. Okay. So here, again, looking at this commentary, it's nice, isn't it, to bring in the commentaries and see how Prabhupada how Prabhupada wrote these purports very much according to the chariots. And but basically, Kshatriyas rule That's what Kshatriyas do. Kshatriyas don't beg. For Kshatriyas, such begging is worse than death. Yeah. This is the dharma of a Kshatriya, is to actually rule. Yeah. So basically, without the kingdom, Arjuna would be just left with to actually beg. But for him, that's become for him, this begging, which is the deplorable situation for a Kshatriya, this begging is preferred to him rather than killing his own guru. In one sense, he could say, isn't it? He's got a point. He could say from one perspective, oh, forget that. You think I'm going to kill my guru? I'd rather be a beggar. So that's what Arjuna is saying here. But we know the circumstances here that his guru happens to be on the side of the Kauravas, etc., as we know. Fate, by law's arrangement, he's to be killed, the guru. Yeah. So, yeah, because in other words, that okay, if he was to give up the fight and go begging up, okay, then I will have to be a beggar, but then in the future I will not get sinful reactions. I will not have to bear the burden of the sinful reaction of killing my guru. As he mentions here, after killing them means we enjoy the spoils tainted with blood. So that means there be sinful reactions. That's what Arjuna is saying. We will not be able to enjoy it. We better live in this world by begging and lift the cost of our lives of the great warriors, great souls of my teachers. Even though design will be gained, if they are killed, everything will be tainted with blood. Yeah. So this describes here this reason. Again, we overcome with sin, and the next one is the last of the fifth and final reason that Arjuna gives not to fight. Any comments on this or questions? Everything we enjoy with tainted with blood. What's the point? Yeah. How can it? So in other words, Arjuna is saying, how can I, even if we win, we would have killed my guru. How can I possibly enjoy with that on my mind? Yeah. Anyway, it just comes to mind now. People who do horrific crimes, say murder. Let's just say that, for instance, they have to live the rest of their life haunted with that deplorable act. Say, for instance, someone is very, say someone kills someone, or say another example could give a person who act very viciously towards others. Then there's a cloud of sin that sits over them for their whole life. And they may artificially try and make out it's not there and try to artificially put up the face of enjoyment. But that cloud of that sinful act, that dread, will always be there. That sinful act will always be there. Unless, of course, they take to Krishna consciousness. Then they become relieved of that. Savadamam priyatya mam ekam savaram bhuja. Krishna relieves of all sinful reactions. But here, the point that Arjuna is making is that how can we enjoy the kingdom? Again, quite strong arguments from Arjuna, and that's Maya, isn't it? Maya can give us very convincing reasons to not act in the Krishna conscious way. Maya is very expert. It seems like some devotees we come up with amazing reasons why they have to fall down. They try and justify it in so many ways, but really it's just plain old Maya. Yeah. Plain old Maya. We see devotees become, or we may become so convinced. No, they said right. No. So Arjuna here, Arjuna is in Maya. He's an illusion, but that's of course arranged by Krishna. Okay, unless there's any comments on that, we can read another text. So who just read? Was it Mangala Mangalataka? You just read? Did
No,
you just read
there's
that?
I didn't read that one.
Who just read last?
Was it Anupam?
Anupama. Yes, excuse me. Because I'm trying to, I've got hands up. Huh?
Sorry, did you want me to read,
Lama-
Prabhu? Haribol?
No, you've just read, huh?
No, I didn't read. I think it was Labanga that you just read last one.
Okay, let's move on. Yeah, just trying to keep track. Okay, Mother Anupama, you can, let's see. This is Arjuna's describes here. This is his fifth and final reason for not fighting. Yeah.
That's
So you
text
can go
6.
ahead and read text 6. Yeah.
Okay. Na cheta vidma katarana gyaryo yadva jnanam vadi vana jayayu ya eva harvana jiti vashmas te vishadi pramukhe Dhrtarastra Dhrtarastra. Now do we know which is better,
No,
conquering
no.
them?
Nor do we know.
Sorry, nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we killed the sons of Dhrtarastra, we would not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Purport. Arjuna did not know whether he should fight and risk unnecessary violence, although fighting is the duty of the Kshatriyas, or whether he should refrain and live by begging. If he did not conquer the enemy, begging would be his only means of subsistence. Nor was there certainty of victory, because either side might emerge victorious. Even if victory awaited them and their cause was justified, still if the sons of Dhrtarashtra died in battle, it would be very difficult to live in their absence. Under the circumstances, that would be another kind of defeat for them. All these considerations by Arjuna definitely prove that not only was he a great devotee of the Lord, but he was also highly enlightened and had complete control over his mind and senses. His desire to live by begging, although he was born in the royal household, is another sign of detachment. He was truly virtuous, as these qualities combined with his faith in the words of instructions of Sri Krishna, his spiritual master, indicate. It is concluded that Arjuna was quite fit for liberation. Unless the senses are controlled, there's no chance of elevation to the platform of knowledge. And without knowledge and devotion, there's no chance of liberation. Arjuna was competent in all these attributes, over and above his enormous attributes in his material relationships.
Okay, so some interesting points here. First thing here that just comes to mind as well is exactly what Arjuna is fearing actually took place. In other words, he did kill his guru, the army. Who had killed Dronacharya? Anyone remember who killed Dronacharya?
Yudhishthira, wasn't it?
No,
No, it
Drishtadyumna.
was
Drishtadyumna.
Draupadi's brother, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Arjuna might have not done it directly, but he was definitely part of the party that killed his guru. And millions of people were killed. So everything that Arjuna is bringing up here, in one sense, actually happened. There's hundreds of unprotected women, unprotected wives, unprotected daughters, and the family was wiped out. But it was the arrangement of, I can say, because Krishna's direction is supreme, everything became, I can say, everything became corrected and arranged and sanctified because Arjuna followed the directions of Krishna. Does that make sense? So, in other words, Arjuna's bringing up all these reasons not to fight. Okay, it's based on his illusion, but actually, I'm just trying to give the picture that after the Battle of Kurukshetra, they're basically, what I'm trying to say is because it was Krishna's direction, Krishna's arrangement, there was no sinful reaction. So Arjuna wasn't covered with the terrible fault or the terrible consequences of killing his guru or killing other family members because it wasn't sinful. Krishna had arranged that for a specific purpose, for the actual well-being of the earth. And Arjuna was just a plain instrument. Anyway, it's just a side point that came to mind. But any questions about this? Arjuna does not know what to do. At least here, he's admitting he does not know what to do. And in the next verse, quite a well-known verse is the next one. It says, now I'm confused. So he's bringing up all these different arguments and he's confused. Yeah. He doesn't know what to do. Just reading from here. If he does fight, if he does not fight, he will have to beg. Yeah. He wouldn't be able to show his face anywhere. You know, if he leaves the battlefield, he wouldn't be able to show his face in the royal court anywhere. He'd have to go into an ashram and beg for his assistance. If he fights and wins, he's going to kill almost all of his relatives and friends. So fighting and losing will mean his death. Therefore, he is confused about his duty. Yeah. And in the purple, Srila Prabhupada brings up about Arjuna's superiority as a devotee and his great quality of being able to turn around completely and leave the whole Kshatriya profession. So that's a sign of detachment. As this Prabhupada brings this out as being a sign of he's someone whose senses are under control. So therefore, that's his qualification for hearing. Interesting, Prabhupada brings that out. It's his qualification for hearing transcendental knowledge. That one's senses are controlled. But Arjuna was ready to do that. To give up all the name and fame and glory and the riches and the situation of being a prince, of being a royal member of the royal household, and just leave it all for the begging profession. Yeah, so this is, he says here in the last sentence, so Arjuna was competent in all these attributes, over and above his enormous attributes in his material relationships. Yeah. So this is, yeah, I mean, there's a lot in, although it's just bringing us to the human platform to follow the regulative principles. Actually, if we follow the regulative principles and we control our senses, then we have access to deeper levels of transcendental knowledge. But the more we're distracted by the material energy, then the less we're going to be able to digest and comprehend and understand transcendental knowledge. Yeah, that's why if we can control our senses, then we can, in one sense, we can have insight into deeper knowledge, transcendental knowledge. Any comments or questions on that? Otherwise, we could read text 7. Time is flying by. We've got a few minutes left. Now, this text 7, this is one of my favorite purports. Yeah. It's very wonderful purport. Prabhupada speaks very much about the real nature of this material world. And let's read it and Okay, so who would like to read next?
Yeah.
Mangalatika, you can read text 7.
Yeah, thanks. Karpanya dosavata svabhava Prajami tvam dharma samudajeta Yajayasyan nisjitam bruhitan me Sisyasteyam sadimam tvam panam. Now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me.
Big purple. Yeah, it's a big purple. Okay, you can read this. Okay.
Yeah, we've got 3 minutes. Let's see.
Yeah. 57. My watch is slow. What should we do? Should we? Let's read.
Actually, I've just got an important WhatsApp message that I need to respond to, so
Okay.
I can't actually read the report right now.
Okay, perhaps we'll leave it on a cliffhanger today, and we'll stop here because I don't want to rush through this purple. It's a very amazing purple, and good to spend a little bit of time on it. So it's a good part to stop. It's a very kind of poignant verse. Because this is the point at which where Krishna is very expert at timing. You see, this is the point at which Arjuna is going to be like a sponge, ready to hear from Krishna. You know, he's admitting his complete confusion, so he surrenders to Krishna at this part. And this is when Krishna then takes on the role. He moves from the role of being Arjuna's friend to being his guru. So this is in this verse here. All right. So we'll pause there for today. And tomorrow I'd want to, let's see, no, should be right. Because this time tomorrow I should be in, Krishna willing, I should be in Manchester. So if Krishna allows us to get there, then we should be okay for tomorrow, okay? So look forward to tomorrow. Let's go through text 7 tomorrow. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.